Thank you. Next, we have contestant number 13, Phan Hữu Phước from Vietnam.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Hữu Phước. I'm Junior University of Architect, Vietnam. I am very glad to present to my design and hear about a public library for poor children. Say a famous saying that don't give them fish, just give them the instruction. Sorry. Don't give them fish, just give them the rod. Or you can also say, don't give them the fish, no rod. Just give them the instruction. But for me, it's the instinct of self-learning and discovering that is important. But illiterate children are not used to reading or hold on one to read. So my desire to try to change their habit for a better direction. And here, this is the building site where there are lots of middle and low income residents. Children living here have a very simple dream. Good meal, sleep well, and warm clothes is just enough. Maybe they also want the books, but they don't know what is in there. So my idea is to bring the image of small Ollie into the library, because it's very familiar to people here, especially the children. Those places are where children live, play, and bond their childhood too. And my idea is to create space similar to the small alley for children to come and play, but at the same time, get them to engage with the reading culture. But the random space needs a meeting line for connecting everything together. For children to come, meet, and communicate. So, the property of this design, those are open, randomized, and vary. About open space, you can see on the picture, there are no door, only one or symmetric wall to define space for children activity. About randomized space, and you can see on the plan, there are many models of small alley connecting together by the main meeting line. As you can clearly see on the picture and the model, there are a variety of space with different function and form expression. And in the end, this design is my effort to create something that can help the poor children to have a familiar space, to regenerate their own instinct of my self-learning and discovering. That is a direction of education in modern community, I think. Thank you for your listening.
Okay, any question?
I gave some suggestion. I think you're talking about your concept. It's okay, but can you show us some drawing or some models? I think it's more better to we start to ask some question or something. You never show like plan or section or something. You just show like this is diagram or concept.
Bằng cách ở trên cái layout. em không có nói tiếng
Yeah,
Việt.
maybe you can introduce from your models and something we can more easy to understand because we are very fast. Only 3 minutes. How to understand your design?
Plans and sections are not ready for the presentation. They are out there at the presentation board, but are not available in this presentation.
Oh, this is ground floor. Còn lại là ở trên đó.
So can you just see from the diagrams shown here, not a full plan or sections.
Discussing the concept. You can say something with this model.
Mặt bằng của tầng trệt á, thì nó không có cửa, nó chỉ có những vách tường không gian nó mở, nó mở để cho tụi nhỏ nó dễ dàng nó tiếp cận vào, và tụi nhỏ có thể đến đây ngồi nghỉ nhìn ngắm cầm đọc một cách nó rất là tự nhiên, nghĩa là nó không có một cái vách ngăn nào nó cản trở bằng nó.
The ground floor is open, no door or no walls or no doors, and children are freely to welcome into the building, and they can do whatever they want at ground floor for their random activities.
Còn tiếp theo là những cái không gian như là cái không gian ngồi đọc ở những cái ban công này á, thì đó là những cái không gian.
Lầu 1 là gì? Tiếp tục ra sang tới lầu 1.
Lầu 1 hả? Đó.
Okay, any question? No?
Đây, cái này là những không gian của literature section and client discovery section, media section, history and geography section, and reading space on the balcony.
May I ask you something? May I ask you something? This is not for particular program like a library or a station, or you just concentrate on this I mean, you know, I think that, can you answer me?
Okay, what is the program?
What is this building?
Cái này là sao đây? Dạ đúng rồi, đây không phải là một cái thư viện đơn thuần tới đó để đọc sách, mà bọn theo có thể tới đó chơi rồi.
Simple answer is okay. So what is this building?
This is not just a library with books, but the place where children can play together and can talk and can read books also.
Okay. That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
So this is not library. This is not the station.
Yeah.
This is not necessary particular
Closed.
building.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting. I think very interesting. Because there is no, and it's very improvisationally. You just try to weave, right? And then you're focusing on some kind of random kind of flow of something, right? So, well, I mean, you know, if I want to say something, then that kind of conceptual aspect, maybe I would expect this model more kind of conceptual way or a more abstract way. But what you did not, you know, define the particular building, and then you concentrate on that. It's like a literature that with just start to write and to weave. Yeah. That's very interesting. Simply, I just my comment.
Okay, no need to answer. Okay. Thank you. The next one.
Thank you.
Next contestant is number 14, Rajani Shrestha.
Hello everyone, I'm Rajani Shrestha from Nepal, and I did this design when I was in second year in Tribhuvan University. Okay, this is how my overall plan looks like. Talking about the design development, I first, whenever we think about the school, we design school for the kids, and kids don't like the obstructions. I mean, they are really always obstructed by the parents and teachers. I mean, that is for their good, but the psychology is that they like to be free. So I used the curved lines to express the freedom rather than the perpendicular lines. So this is like how I developed the overall building. And talking about the form development, I first took out the volume and broke it into the two parts so that the connection can be made there. And form development, I pushed out some part and pushed and pulled some part and did the form development. And the next part I focused upon is the axis of interaction, which is the major component of the schools. I mean, the kids needs to be interacted most in the schools. So I took the 3 circles, which is the amphitheater part, where the connection is done through the canteen and where they sit in the amphitheater. And the assembly portion, which is directly connected through the entrance and where they enter. And the next portion is the exhibition space, which is just in the side of the auditorium building. And another part which is really important for the school, I feel, is the horizontal visual connection. The student sitting in, one part of the building can directly look at the other student sitting in the next part, so that horizontal visual connection can be achieved. And I feel I have tried to justify the disciplinary architecture somehow. Disciplinary architecture is that which prohibits or emphasize any kind of activity to be occurred in that place. And what I feel is in the case in our country, students are much more bullied. The new students are much more bullied. So I think I have tried to create the space which prevents bullying. I mean, there is only one-way corridor space, and there are no any dark spaces in between, so that the students are not bullied by the seniors or other friends. Talking about the site response, the wind in Nepal comes through the southeast direction, which is directly hit onto the auditorium, so that and the wind flows in the pattern like that in the building. And okay, talking about my program, through the entry it is connected to the parking area, and how it responds to the site is that it is located in a residential zone, and which is commercialized somehow. So I have used the parking area nearby the commercial zone, so that noise is segregated, is concentrated only in one area. And there goes the assembly, then the administration section is on the ground floor, and this portion is the canteen where students can directly connect to the amphitheater. And the classrooms layout, all the classroom lies on the first floor, and as the rooms in the classroom are not directly orthogonal, so the layout goes like this. And the upper floors are the library. And I also would like to say that I have tried to develop the form in the way that the planning is done as I have tried to segregate the places in terms of the human density. As mean, as the floor rises up, first, okay, I would like to explain it through the section. That one is the multipurpose hall, futsal section. Okay, this is the overall master plan. Okay, here on the ground floor is the auditorium, canteen, and the administration, where the much more crowd of the students and people is seen. And the first floor are the classrooms, where the population density decreases slowly. And upper portion are the library and laboratory, where people go only for the kids go only for the specific purposes. And this is how my elevation looks like in the line form. And this is the upper one view. We can view it through the entry level, and this is the back portion. And I have used brick as the building material, as it is easily available in our country, locally available material, and I have tried to show all the columns clearly in the building. And this is the aerial view, how it goes like. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, any question? Okay, so I want to ask you. So, it's very basic question for the design. So, when you design a building, so at first, what did you decide?
So firstly, I thought about the kids. I thought about the kids' psychology, as they like to be free. I mean, they like to do what they want to do, and so I thought that would be best represented in the curved line rather than the perpendicular lines. So I chose the curved part first, and with the wind pattern in the side and the boundary condition, I layouted the plan that way.
So I think it's the arrangement, the buildings is very interesting, and so would you explain for that the arrangement of the buildings? How did you arrange it?
Okay. I first did the curved part, then.
Okay, you used the slide.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Here, the building at first it enters. And is directly entered to the assembly area, and which is directly connected to the administration part on the ground floor, and that shape is somehow welcoming to the kids. And I placed the auditorium in that area, as it is near to the entry, so that while doing the zoning, I can place the public space nearby the entrance, and is directly connected to the parking as well. And the round part behind the auditorium is the exhibition space, which can be used by the kids and the teachers, so as to enhance the talent. And that part is the amphitheater. I just wanted to make flow in the design. I mean, I developed all other landscape part and all other side buildings in the by putting emphasis on the main central portion. That was how I tried to complete my design.
And so how did you design the spatial relationship?
A special relationship. Administration portion, I feel somehow is the semi-public space, so I placed it in the ground floor. And I already said about the auditorium, why I placed it there. And the canteen portion, I think, can be is a private space. I mean, it should be used by only the kids in the school, but I placed it on the ground floor so that I can relate it to the amphitheater. I mean, the ambience in there could be really pleasing, so I placed it there. And I have, beside the canteen, there is my art space. This is the art space, so that the students participating in the art can also use the amphitheater. I mean, that ambience would enhance them to do something more. And others are the multi-purpose hall and other courts. And I have provided the service entry behind the canteen. And I didn't place any parking space there, as I didn't want to distribute the noise pollution that would have been created by the cars or vehicles parking over there.
Okay, thank you. The next.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, Rajani. Next, we have candidate number 15, Zeus Xerxes Pithawala.
Hello, my name is Z.S. Pithawala, and this is my third-year project from Rachna Sansad's Academy of Architecture, Mumbai, India. My project was dealing with affordable housing. Okay, so dealing with affordable housing, I dealt with it in two ways. One was a physical intervention to house the people, and the second was an intervention to change the mentality of the people towards affordable housing. So you can see part A and part B done in that fashion. Looking into India, my site was in Mumbai. Zooming into Mumbai, my site was located in BDD Chawls. My context looks like this. Now basically understanding Mumbai. Mumbai has a population of around 20.5 million people. It has a density of 26,650 persons per square kilometer. And the problem, there are 480,000 vacant flats in the city, yet 60% live in slums. 60% are considered homeless, even with 5 lakh houses empty. This is a saying by Daniel Quinn. Do not drive the ones without houses into places we find suitable. Help them survive in places they find suitable. This was my site. What I did is I calculated the wind at the hottest time of the month in the hottest time of the year. So looking at March, April, May, which were the hottest months of India, and 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock, which is the hottest time of the day, I derived my wind angles, and looking at the sun. Zooming into part A, which was the housing program, I designed basically 2 modules. One was a 33 square meter module, the other was a 43 square meter module. The existing people live in 25 square meters, about 12 people live. So our program was to design a house for 5 people for 33 square meters and 7 people for 43 square meters. What I did is I designed modules in such a way that on alternating axis of wind, the house would get cross-ventilated. Putting the modules into the floor plan. I zoned my floor plan in this way where I alternated the 33 and 43 modules. Now what happens is when you design a housing building, you usually align one side according to the wind direction. But what happens to the other side? What happens when you have to cater to a high density and it's a doubly loaded corridor, not a singly loaded corridor? So I designed my green spaces in such a way that on both wind axes, all my houses would get the wind. For the purpose of understanding zoning of the building, I've used the following color codes. Yellow implies ducts, red circulation cores, and gray were the modules. Looking at my site, this was my stilt level. Understanding vertical circulation, then horizontal, and the stacking. Notice how the ducts change. Simply in height, but the position stays the same because the toilets have to remain the same. In a housing building, toilets and structure play a very important part in the design. And this is what my building would look like. Understanding the wind modulation as my building cuts through in section. Through the different voids, different wind arrows cut through. Therefore, not only does my wind change in plan, but also in section. When I cut a horizontal section through my building, through the corridor, it appears something like this. The reason I've used so many plants is these plants produce their own fresh air. What happens is when you are exposed to these plants, it increases the amount of oxygen in your blood. It increases it by 1%, and when oxygen increases in your blood, you naturally become happier. So I wanted my residents not just to live in a building that would make them feel like it was an important thing from them, from the BDD Chawls, but also for them to get that boost from the architecture of the building. And it would be a very interesting play to see, to tell someone that, you know, I live on the 3rd yellow, or when you come into the corridor, come to the 2nd red. Also, because my building modules change from floor to floor, they flip along the central axis. So this is the water supply that I've worked out for all the modules. You can see that the kitchen and the toilets usually shift. So because the domestic water supply stays the same, this is what I've done. I've also designed a housing policy. Moving into part B.
Okay, thank you. You just show the slides. Any question?
Let me ask you a simple question, which is, what makes you think that high-rise configuration like you have constitute a model of affordable housing?
So it was my design brief to provide 100 modules and to stick to a height lesser than 11 floors. So with the site was given to us and the program was given to us, so we had to go high-rise. It was part of our design brief.
You're quite sure that given that site with that plot ratio that you are given, you can't do a high-rise, maybe up to 4-story walk-up in a what they call a row formation, or maybe a combination with maybe a one tower and. Well, I suppose one tower will not work here because you are looking at affordable housing. Maybe the better question to ask you is, what is affordable housing in the context of Mumbai?
For Mumbai, affordable housing, I would say, would be something that the people not only could afford to live in because they're very poor, but it would be something that the government would help out in, and it's something whose image needs to be upgraded. So what I did with my project was try to upgrade the image of affordable housing, so that builders, because usually in Mumbai, there's a lot of greed with the builders. So what they want to do is build for the rich. That's why you have the imbalance of 480,000 vacant flats and 60% homeless. So in terms of, sir, the high-rise that you're saying, everyone in my studio had the same high-rise project, because with the site we were given, we could not go less than these many floors. No one had a 5 to 6 floor building. Everyone was 9 to 11 because of the site. In Mumbai, we play with this thing called FSI calculation, floor space index. So with these bylaws, and Mumbai is known to have very strict bylaws. So with all of that, there were many design conditions that come up when you design in a city like Mumbai.
May I ask you who owns the land?
So this currently is BDD, and it's owned by the government. So in my housing policy, I designed an economic module by which the people can get access to housing also.
Okay, because if they, even though it's supposed to be free because it's owned by the city, but still, I mean, it carries certain value to it, right? So to me, this is a very good site for a luxurious apartment because you have a park in the front, it's very spacious, so it's very easy to produce certain quality, but that's the quality belonging to the land itself. So the government might as well sell this piece of land and build somewhere else, right? In a poorer quarters, right? But I guess that's not your problem. But what I mean to say also is that these open spaces you provide needs money to build. So they, if you really count the average building price, it will be distributed to your livable area also. So that brings up the whole cost. So this so-called affordable housing to me doesn't look that affordable.
So I've designed an economic module by which it works.
Well, how about those gardens that you have up there? Who is going to maintain it? We have a lot of examples of this in Singapore, and we can tell you, we're only beginning to discover that, yeah, well, nobody wants to pay for it. But the cost of maintaining this, so I'm just wondering, within your arrangement of modules, with respective to the open spaces, how do you maintain a level of control and territoriality, that ensures, that those gardens will be maintained? Because if they are not, they will quickly degenerate into not very attractive, because the way you render it is so beautiful,
Yes, sir. So this was the economic module. So what happens is that HUDCO, which is an organization of the government, it lends money for affordable housing schemes. So it would start this capital fund. And as you can see, everyone would basically lend money from this body, from the capital fund, and buy houses, and in time it would be paid back to them. And the money would be given back to HUDCO through revenue generation schemes, which were parking lots and hoardings. And all the calculations were done, and eventually the maintenance of the building was not paid by the people, but instead by the revenue generation schemes, which was in design. So in terms of maintaining the building, it would all work out economically. But the main people, if they would dirty the place, I would say that that's just a mindset change we need to bring about in India.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next.
Thank you, Zeus. Up next, we have candidate number 16, Keijiro Kinoshita from Japan.
Hello, I'm Keijiro Kinoshita from Japan. 3 years student. I'm from Chiba University. Way of the world to snuggle up. I was suggested compound facilities of day service, childcare, and the area rental space around the elementary school where I went to. Target area of the Bed Town has been development around the Shinkansen station for a few years ago, but the support is not provided. The place where I plan to build two composite facilities is located on the outskirts of town, and it is located between the park and the national highway. The waterfront park is the main area in community and has the biggest athletic facility in the city. On the other hand, many apartments are built along the national highway, so it has lost the landscape of previous low-rise town, and new residents receive bad influence from development and scenery of the town. Also, it does not seem to connect with existing community. However, I believe new resident is one of them who make towns and their existence to be welcome. So I propose the road which park of tree and green is reaching out towards the national highway. When we put a price of the interchange in a box, it is hard to approach the price easily. So it is based on an outside way and make open space for others by putting the way of the wall aside. And I peel off the wall along the way and develop architectural space like a background. As a wall design, I am planning to build streets of walls so that they can connect with their surroundings, which bring flow of the residents. Each street of walls has its own characteristic and various functions. The wall design is composed by turning over the street of walls or cutting them out. By dividing functions into three elements, I make the place where it's easy to be connected with nature. Then the residents interact with each other along the streets. The streets stretch out like welcoming all the people coming in. From a training room at a daycare center, elderly people can enjoy seeing kindergarten children playing the playground and school children walking back home. In addition, the open wall brings light in a wall. Lastly, if residents deepen our relationship with newcomers in space along the street, they might be able to find delight in community development. And so I hope this idea will expand to the functions that exist everywhere in the community but do not get attention from others. Thank you.
I'm curious, how can you produce this shape of a wall? Through what kind of thinking you get to? It's so different from a traditional one. What's your logic of producing this free curved line and the section are different wall?
壁のイメージは公園の視線を国道に向かって伸ばしたイメージです。
He think about the wall like a extension of a park beneath to a road, and he imagined that like the root of tree and extension out. So it's a like freestyle shape.
Did you only think about that in the urban designs, or you didn't think about that this kind of way to use in a more kind of landscape?
Say yes or no.
Yes, yes.
Yes?
Because it's originally the flat park.
Maybe as a follow-up question to what was asked about the rationale for the wall, I'm just also thinking, why are they all the same height, you know? Because if they're intended to be part of that urban landscape, why is it not changing in height, in thickness, maybe in shape also, but still retaining the major lines?
Because he didn't want to design the wall like a building. If you make big space inside or make the changing, it will look more than a building, more like a building than a wall.
Yeah, I stand corrected because I'm seeing the model now. I mean, there is that variation. Okay, so sorry for the question.
Okay, thank you. The next.
Thank you. Next contestant, number 17, Lim Zi Yuan from Singapore.
Very good afternoon to our distinguished guests, judges, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Zi Yuan. I'm from National University of Singapore. And my project, this is my third year project. It's a recuperation center, a center for the visually impaired. So about the brief, hospitals today, they offer spaces for consultation and treatment. However, a recuperating patient is no longer under medical attention and is asked to take more rest at home. And some of these people are unable to look after themselves, and we have to recognize that these people, even though they are no longer patients, their needs are no less significant. So on to the site analysis. The site is along Jalan Tan Tock Seng Road. This is the site. It is one of duality and tension. It is located along a green belt that separates this public hospital from all the private housing in this area. So the site sort of sits on a no man's land, and it's neither here nor there, and there's a fragmentation of the urban fabric in the area. This is the photo of the site. As you can see, there are a lot of urban boundaries in the site, such as gates and fences and drains, because they are private housing, and there's a creation of this borderlands of segregation and lack of intimacy and isolation where everyone just lives in their own gated community. And this is not the quality we are looking for when we are trying to build a recuperation center. So how then do we transform this fabric, this urban fabric, and the lifestyle of the people? Which brings me to my target group of people who are going to be living in my recuperation center. The center is primarily for people who are temporarily visually impaired. They normally get this affliction due to surgery, cataracts, injury, etc. And I liken this personal condition of the boundary to the condition of the segregation at the site. And I want to create an architecture that empowers these recuperating patients and help them break their shackles. And this architecture fits the site and adds a level of social interaction into the site. So on to my design process. I started with the intro version of the site. Because the site is full of boundaries, I created a boundary, and I split it into the public and private areas, and further fragmented the mass into, to allow for openings into the site itself. Here, I split the site into communal areas and an institutional area. Institutional area meaning a space like a hospital space, because I believe it's important to make the distinction that recuperating patients, people are not patients. They need to feel comfortable and feel the security of home and not just surveillance, constant surveillance like in a hospital. So that's the main difference. This is my plan. This is a level 2 plan. The site slopes up this way and this way. So this is the public facing that is facing the road. The journey of a recuperating individual will begin in the lobby. And the space is designed such that it is a loop that will allow them easier methods of wayfinding. And this loop is demarcated with the material of stone tiles, so they get a feeling and a sensation. As they travel through this bridge, it marks a transition into their recuperation journey. And in this space, their wayfinding is guided by the different trees placed along the way. So, for example, you can tell a patient your house is your room is at the third tree, and he will know it's somewhere here. At the start of this zone is a jasmine tree that provides the smell and guidance for the people who are blind to let them know where they are. And they complete a loop through the dining area and the public lounge area. This is the aforementioned loop. This is a close-up of the housing area, which is designed close to the tree so that each of the individual rooms have a view into a courtyard or a garden, and they have their own private space as well. As for the public, they have access through this road. From this picture, you can see that as people walk along this road, they get to have a visual cue of the buildings inside. And this idea of a tree and living within a tree generates intrigue and draw people into the site. Whereas along this side, the public users can enter the courtyard through this area under the bridge. This is a ground floor plan with the courtyard space. this is a sort of a public space which is available for the private housing owners to walk their dogs in the area, and this is a dog school that trains dogs for the visually impaired. So it is also part of a therapeutic experience for the users who are living in this space to get experience to the sound and the smell and the touch of the dogs. And this over here is, I call it a void deck space. It is a semi-public space for gathering of visitors and such, and it separates the private garden from the public garden. And this is the third floor, which houses communal rooms for people who are partially visually impaired. So they have blurred vision, but they are still able to see the shade of the tree, feel the outside, and touch the sunlight. So I'll just run through the slides. All right, that's all. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. What is the program?
It is a recuperation center for the visually impaired. Recuperation meaning, for example, they after they undergo surgery, this is the place where they stay. So after they undergo surgery, they cannot stay in the hospital anymore. Doctor tells them to go home and rest, but they need people to take care of them most of the time. So this is a facility to help them empower themselves. And at the same time, there are public amenities that cater to the people who are living in the area, such as from the different elevations, you can see the treatment of the public facades, which is more porous, that allows for the public to go in and interact with the dogs and interact with the people who are staying there. As well as the private facades that ensure that the level of privacy is still kept for the people who are staying there. Yeah.
So your canteen level is here, right?
Sorry?
Ground 3 level, right?
Yes. Set into the ground so that when you walk by this way, you enter through the second floor. If you go in by this way, you enter through the first floor.
Where is the
into the
canteen?
courtyard.
Where was the?
This area?
No, I mean on the upper level, right?
Yes, here.
Okay.
So this whole block, which is near the public facing. Yeah.
Can I say something? Sure. Can you move back to the plan? Plan. Yeah. Well, I think you could organize the upper half of the I need plan before the first.
Plan.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Upper part, you just shift a little bit and then make a human scale and then rather controlled way, but you try to create something upper part. But the lower half, you're kind of the totally, different aesthetics.
Yes.
Why?
Okay, I want to highlight this because I think my project is about the play between public and private spaces. So I think that it is important to have a different kind of design for this space as opposed to this space, so as to highlight that this is a private space, this is a public space, but there are spaces in between them.
But you could continue the same aesthetics, the whole things, right?
The idea is that there are certain traits that carry forward.
It seems to me that the upper part, it's okay, but because you're so frustrated, upper part, the lower part, you just, cancel your, you stop your control or so a little bit. You could do the same way. Why not?
For me, the idea is to create intrigue over here. So if people on the outside see that there are trees inside and the housing is not trees, they would go in. But if this part is also here, there's no reason to go in. There's no sense of, there's no special identity in that place. So especially for the people who cannot see, once they recover their sight, they get that surprise in that area. But for the public, they get drawn in that area.
Okay, thank you. The next.
Thank you very much. Before we continue, I'd just like to remind the judges that our judging today will consist of 3 rounds. The first round will include you choosing 3 best candidates. The second round will have you choose 2 out of those 3 best candidates. That after we've collated the data, you'll choose 2 out of those 3. And finally, you'll choose the best one out of the 2.
Did you say top 10 first? I saw that it's 10 out of 25. Was it? Top 10?
Top 10. And then top 5.
First run is top 10, right?
Yeah.
So we give the 10 to you.
Mr. Lee, would you like to clarify the methodology, the process?
My understanding is first we get the top 10 out of this 25, right? Then we, from top 5 after this, out of this 10, then top 3, then number 1. Is it? Okay, you said a yes. Clear.
Okay. Right, we shall continue with the 18th candidate, Pantavong Sechai from Laos.
Xin chào. Good afternoon, judges and contestants and visitors. Today, I am Sai Chai Pantavong from Laos. My project is Library for Design with the concept Let's be inspired by nature. Be inspired by nature in this case doesn't mean I was inspired by nature and come up the form of building. It means that my main purpose to create the project is to let the natures and the people live together. People live together with the natures, learn with the natures, and also be inspired by the nature. The reason why I use the round form is because I want the nature or the tree which already existing in the land, in the site, and put them in the middle of the circle to be the highlight spot. This is the map. As you can see, is the map of the National University of Laos, and the mark point is the Faculty of Architecture, where I am studying. So this view is from the 4th floor of my school building. Almost every day, I walk by this way and saw this view and feel relaxed, feel fresh. But then I had to come back to my classroom, the box room, and getting back to my nervousness. And then I wondered that, what if I can do any activities in that site, like reading, thinking about the project, or maybe presenting the project in that site. It might be more fun than in the box room. And of course, I don't want to cut the tree, and I will remain it as much as possible as I can. As you can see, I tend to have tree inside the circle. Yeah. As you can see here, this is the library hall, and this is also another circle, and another circle here is different space, which library hall is just contain a tree also, and this contain tree in the middle also. The tree is inside the building can make the user, wherever they are in this building, can see the tree and feel the fresh atmosphere. Okay, from the first floor, this is library hall, and this is another space that I want to make the student who don't like to read a book on just library hall, because now technology is very high and it's very developed. You can read or learn something new, not just from the books, but from everywhere else by your maybe mobile phones, and maybe your sharing experience with teachers, because they are the public place that you can see when even you are in the second floor, and you can see this space. Also, I want users to touch new experience, like reading in the rooftop and see the view of the forest in the highest point. So.
Okay, thank you. So show us just slide.
Yeah. Do you see? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any question?
It's very, the topic you have is you wanted to make a space inspired by the nature. So you are talking about the relationship between the space and nature, right?
Yes.
But my question is your shape of the building is very organic shape. Like when I see a couple of round shape, yes, which is have some sort of like a conjunction between different types of round shape. But my question is that the way you create the space is somehow it contains the nature with the space. You make the boundary, the space, with the nature. It's not continuously, or the relationship is very clear. You make the space and you contain the nature within the space. So when I see your site plan, then I can see the nature is inside of a building. So what do you think? The relationship between the nature and the space, is it clearly has to be defined? So that's one way to look at make the relationship, or somehow has to be, or somehow some gray area or connected each other. What do you think of could you explain why you make confine the nature within the space instead of like opening your space to the nature?
Okay. I will answer the first part that you asked. Why put the tree inside? Is that right? And actually, it's not so close. It's not close to the outside environment. As you can see, we have the tree inside the buildings, and also a green space outside the building, and we can connect it to let me show you. for this building, there are windows and there are the rooftop that you can go up here, and then feel another atmosphere outside. And for this circle, it's not closed but semi closed. Like there are some space between. As you can see at the plan, here are some that you can walk, that you can see through here. So only building here, only a room here, a room and a room. So it's quite close, and then it's semi-open, and then this zone is widely open to the the school building and also the natures. So my main purpose is to make it for many kind of people. For people who want to read quietly, they can read here. For people who want to sharing experience with others and communicate with others, they can use this space. And for those who want to enjoy the atmosphere outside and freely, they can use this corner.
Sorry, to me, whenever how much you talk about the nature and architecture, in your model, the nature is so under control and so weak. Why don't you try next time, with this same form, to try to collaborate with a much stronger nature, with a much stronger landscape, with a much bigger tree, and then I think your form may be become more alive. That's my suggestion.
Thank you for the suggestions.
Okay, thank you. Next.
Thank you, Phan Tavong. Up next, we have candidate number 19, Zhou Xingyu from China.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Zhou Xingyu, a student from Southeast School, China. I'm going to introduce my project, Land Life Between the Streets. It's made when I'm in grade 3, and this is project about community center for the old people. Before I start design, I pay attention to the people I served. And this is a question that what is the differences between old and young people? And when I talk to them, I find that they easy to feel lonely and be lack of belongings. And what is the reason? It's because they is divorced from the community and the family is not around. So this makes me think, what can I do as a designer? So maybe I can create things and let the thing inspire them. And when I start to design, one element can't be ignored is the urban system. Our site is in an intensive place that is crowded with buildings. How to make a comfortable place for the old people in a so terrible environment is a question for me. One day I walk in the street and I finally find that the street is an interesting place. That the street is a place where people gather around and they will have meeting by accident, a short stay or a casual conversation. So I think this can make a very casual atmosphere, and that is very different from the society outside. So I want to introduce the street into the site. So in that case, I create some different communications place, and it can also create a small society system for the old people. Then I was think, what is the street need for? First of all is the people, and there are two kinds of people in our around my site. In the north of people, or in the in the north is a part for the elders, and in the east is a kindergarten. And the kindergartens, because of the tense of the land, the kindergarten has little place to play. So I want to release a place for them. Also, the children can bring energy to the old people. Maybe they can make some communications and let the old people feel the hope of life. And this is entrance for the department of the old people. So I move the entrance of my site there, and then I put a line to link them together. And the line is where I put the main street. And after that, they actually have 3 streets. And the street is very different. The street, this one is near the river, and this is for the people live in my site to walk around. And this street is the main street for the people live there and goes through the road. And this one is for the people site and live in the previous apartment. This one. And so this 3 road is very different. So I want to combine them together and make some changes of the buildings so that the people can walk freely in my site like this. And in that case, also the scale of the road is very important. I choose the scale of the square place because I think square place can release the pressure from the buildings. Finally, there are some models of activities. In this place, people can take a walk, and the children play in this place. And in this place, people meet up and down, and they may say hello to each other. And in this place, people from the department walk through this road and say the people live in my site. And this place is a sun room for people to stay, and then is some output.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
To show us the slide. Okay. Any question?
On the second floor are the quarters, right, for the elderly?
Pardon?
On the second floor.
Second floor.
Yeah, are these quarters, living quarters for the elderly?
Yes, and it's a living place for the elderly.
Do they live alone in this?
Uh,
Do they live by themselves?
yes.
So, but they are able to walk, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they are healthy elderly.
Pardon?
They're healthy elderly. In other words, they are ambulant, they can walk. They can take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you're doing is you're providing a place where the elderly could be also participating on the lower floor in everyday activities with the kindergarten nearby, right? In other words, you're doing a project, not of an old people's home, but a quarter that allows the elderly still to be very active in the community.
Because this project I focus on the activities, so I want to make them feel
Engaged,
energy.
connected to the community.
Connect to the people around, not feel lonely.
Yeah, but do their children come and visit them?
Yes.
They do, eh? All right.
Because the street in the center of my site is open to each other, so they can play and stay.
I'll make some comment. I think the idea is very good. So you try to create some in between space between elderly and the kindergarten or kids. And the drawing is nice. The only things I'm not quite understanding is why use such a rational way to approach this project. Because the elderly people, their behavior is not that logic. Even for kids, it's too. So if you could pay more attention to that kind of behavior of both group, I think the final solution would be much better than this scheme.
Oh, okay, I see.
Just suggestion.
Just a comment, yeah? Okay, any question? Okay, thank you. Next.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have contestant number 20, Takaki Ito.
Now, I'd like to talk about Machiya with diagonal walls.
まずは学年と名前を言って。
I'm Takaki Ito, grade 3 of Kyushu University in Japan.
何年生
Grade 3.
Okay.
Now, I would like to talk about Machiya with diagonal walls. Machiya is a kind of traditional Japanese house. Next.
Okay.
Yeah. The target site of my research is Yame City in Fukuoka, Japan. There are a lot of next one. There are a lot of traditional houses, but many of them are unoccupied and deteriorating. Three.
今、容量が大きいので、順番を変えるから、次にやるから、ちょっと次の人と交代して、こっちで操作するから。So we'll change it. And so here the data is very heavy. And so the next one. And so number 20, 21.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a slight change in the program. Takaki Ito will be the 25th candidate, and the 21st candidate will move forward. Can we have candidate 21st Huang Yu-cheng from Taiwan? Apologies for the delay. We're hitting another snap with the technology side of things. Just a couple of minutes.
No break. You don't have time. You go out.
No, we don't want to break since we move after 5 o'clock.
Okay, you explain about how to vote, yeah? You already?
Okay, would you like to do that? Would you like to do that, actually?
Oh, very dangerous. It's okay?
Mr. Lee, could you please explain again how to vote?
Yes, to judge. No, you. Yeah. The three votes. At first stage, we vote 3 votes for 1 judge.
Okay, so we will have 3 rounds of voting. Each judge will have 3 votes. The first vote, you'll vote for 3. You'll vote for 3 contestants in the first round. And we'll take out the best 10 from your votes. In the second round, you'll vote twice. You'll vote for 2 contestants. And we'll take out the best 5 from that round. And for the final round, for the third round, you'll vote for 1.
Okay.
And we take out the best 3.
But when it depends on the situation, maybe we change it. Yeah, just only at first time in the first stage, maybe we should select it top 5, not top 10. It depends on the situation. Okay, it's okay. Are you ready?
Don't you think it's a good idea? I mean, it's better to take just 10 first and then going up. Once you have a voting, it doesn't take time. But
Okay.
3 is very difficult.
Seems like we're okay with the technology side of things. So the program will resume with number 21, Huang Yucheng from Taiwan.
Okay.
Xin chào. This is my project, Church of and a Community City Design, and named Dan Shui Big Family. And what kind of the life and the consciousness are we supposed to create in a historical city nowadays? Today I'm going to introduce my work with 4 parts: site, big family, church, and design, and historical Dan Shui. And Dan Shui is a historical city overlooking Mount Guanyin. It's composed by old and the new culture and the lots of lifestyle here, a wonderland in north of Taiwan. And the site is located on 3-way intersection. Below is historical commercial street, crowded with the tourists and the local tractor. And above is main transport route connecting the neighborhood with the serene park. Big family in alley. There are a lot of lifestyle and event in Dan Shui. For example, traditional market and the Dan Shui Big Festival and the Belief of Mazu and many more. This unique lifestyle and the event all happen in the small alley, which I have highlighted in the center of the map. And this alley over time evolved into the social backyard between residents, which they can share their daily life with pleasure. As a result, there are 3 big families in Dan Shui now. As for me, Dan Shui is not only a city, but also a lot of big families with different size and different characteristics along the bank of river Dan Shui. Each big family preserves its own historical nowadays. And above all, Dan Shui is the son of several big families. It was what I perceive, Dan Shui big family. And this is the activity in the street in Dan Shui. And as we zoom in to see, this is the traditional market family. And it was a common alley before. After war, every house put their goods under a temporary canopy. Those houses connected by the alley form a market we know, we cherish today. And furthermore, I analyzed the context by visiting door by door. And as a result, it composed by 3 categories: open plan and the routine and the crack. Church of the Gathering. Dan Shui has transformed from a historical town to a well-functioning city, which has found their own way. The purpose of the church is to gather people to pray and appreciate every blessing they receive each day. This is my goal, to create a symbolic space where their faith belong and integrate it seamlessly to a one Dan Shui big family. In reigning Dan Shui, we can find a symbolic space in the city. And let me walk through this expanding diagram. And next door in the basement, we can find the community center. And the level 1 is designed as a large opening plan backyard with a different activity. And there is a lot of entry to get in. And level 2 is a closed and quiet chapel. In contrast, Level 3 is an outdoor altar. It's an urban space for weddings and the flamboyant festival with Mount Guanyin. And this is ground floor, public space stretched from the park to the church, connecting by the backyard. And this is the render view of the backyard, which is open plan and a dynamic space. And we can participate in the charity market, and we can take a stroll in the backyard and see the what is the community center happen, and the church, and the commercial area, the local theater. And this is in this slide, this is the open open ground plan, and this is how different like shopping and like church activity and the local activity will interact with in the backyard. And this is the quiet chapel for Christians to meditate and appreciate their God. And this is a this is a spectacular view and a beautiful outdoor altar. Bring people up to the roof in a spectacular view. And my vision here is to share happiness to all around of Danshui for weddings and the big festival. And with the Mount Guanyin, we must remember Danshui history and never forget Danshui big family story. Remember, this is our Danshui big family. Thank you.
Thank you. Any question?
I really appreciate this project because I think you have captured quite nicely some of the qualities of the public space, of the alleyway, but now in the context of a larger building with all the, spaces outside. And I think to integrate something like a church into this, I think it's also a very not easy thing to do, because how do you still maintain the quality of a public space for a religious building? And I think you also did it quite well by having this space on top, which allows you the view. Yeah. So I think overall the project is quite well done. So I can congratulate you on this. Yeah.
Thank you.
I like this project too. I think first, in terms of design, it deals with this urban context very well, and transform from urban space to your human use space. Also, I think the way you're layering three sections is nicely done too. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next.
Thank you, Huang Yucheng. Next, we have the 22nd candidate, Oyunto Tso from Mongolia.
The project assignment was to design Mongolian pavilion for international explorers. As a general context, pavilion, the title comes from a story I'm about to tell. In the legend, there was an old man with three sons. One day, a wise man gave him chest and taught him to hide and protect it, not open to whatever happens, because the local lake and river flow was sealed to with the chest kept closed. His two other sons were greedy, unfortunately. They thought there must be a treasure kept inside the chest and opened it. Then the lake dried out and every single living creatures were suffering from thirst. The youngest son left home to look for the wise man to find solution. After a long ride, when he found the wise man and asked what to do, he said that river would flow it again. The people understand what is the most valuable in life. And the chest symbols that mankind must preserve Mother Nature. In reality, the story is being repeated in Mongolian society today. I would like to some few facts. Mongolia is one of the top 15 countries in the world regarding mining sources. Mining has become a dominant sector in Mongolian economy. These are the major mining industries in Mongolia. We are in fastest economic growth in 2012 as a result of direct investments in mining industry. Commercial explosion stands very sure throughout the country. Unfortunately, environmental issues have been raised because insufficient restoration. Therefore, I study nomadic culture, which has always been in harmony with the nature. Therefore, I studied nomadic culture, which has always been in harmony with the nature. In the meantime, I discovered countless amazing things about youth and nomads. Nevertheless, I found this chest with line painting very interesting, and my chest plus is placed on the east side of yours to high esteem. Line painted in the ornaments are believed that keeps precious things safe inside. In terms of philosophy, chest is a space where valuable things are kept. Secondly, it would resemble we should preserve Mother Nature and other nomadic culture according to the legend. On the other hand, every country has exhibition, nation branding during expo. So I figured to show geological exhibits representing natural resources. Then pavilion is a space that contains then. The chest itself has own history and features. I play two important points, space and semblance of preserving nature. Based on these points, I developed two design by the following steps. As I mentioned before, it's not just a box of content, it's a mystery box with everything. We even have an expression. Look in your chest instead of asking somebody else. And also there's either gold and silver inside the chest. Compared to the other countries, Mongolian chest has unique features such as its size appropriate in interior space of Moreover, the size is also well suited to carry on during migration throughout the 40s. The size of typical Mongolian chest is 4050 by 70. I multiplied this furniture model by 5 times to make it building scale. I imagine chest as mystery box because the things where there is kept secret and hidden. By this I mean it represents unexpected occasions. Therefore, my intention was to give same feelings on the other people. In twin plates, I placed separate blocks at different levels where people can concentrate on certain exhibits. I figured the combination of 12 variations by using the models depending on exhibition space requirements and place them on the different levels. Those blocks are connected by indoor and outside stairways. And I have collected the blocks into one space by using an old form. Additionally, I tried to develop visual integration between a person inside the surrounding environment. Therefore, people can enjoy this scenery while moving from the one block to another. I planned the layout as if the chest opens its mystery. In other words, low-angle sunlight shines between the two blocks in the morning and evening. Wind blows throughout water reflection completes this atmosphere. I wanted to shadow of the steel and glass to make unfinished concrete wall look differently throughout depending on sun location. In conclusion, my concept is to call the legend and remind what is the most important. Therefore, my design proposal is to create natural atmosphere with sun, water, wind between boxes. People will enjoy breeze, daylight, and glitter with glass on water reflection inside and outside apart from exhibition minerals. Moreover, I intended to develop visual integration between person inside and surrounding while proposing a different way of color experience. Through my design proposal, I wanted the pavilion to symbolize garden of nature like the lines painted on Mongolian chest. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any question?
You're making an exhibition space in
Yes.
both buildings, right? So there must be a walking route, right? You start from somewhere and go upstairs, or do you have
There's
that?
one pet, only one pet, like snake.
So when I was judging the domestic context, it's some different, yeah?
Yes.
It's, how did you change it? Why did you change it? So, could you tell me?
I want to change this alt form.
How did you change it?
How did you change?
Is the concept is the same one, or you change the concept, or? Okay. Any question?
I see that you shoot a Mongolia camp on this land several times, but I try to make a connections between your design and that camp. It's hardly for me to find that connections. Do you understand?
Sorry, I don't not understand.
Maybe I think one of jury is from Mongolia. Huh? No, he's not there. That's okay. That's okay.
Okay, thank you. Next.